Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Joe Datara, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to the Tasmea 2024 Annual General Meeting. I'd like to begin today by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land upon which we meet. This meeting is being convened in accordance with the provisions of the Corporations Act, and as a quorum of shareholders is present, I declare the meeting open. Today I am joined by Tasmea's Managing Directors, Stephen Young, on my left, who will address you shortly, along with fellow directors Christy Young, Mark Latouli sitting at the end of the table, and Jason Pride. Unfortunately, fellow director Mike Turlett is unavailable to join us today due to illness. Also present at today's meeting is our Chief Financial Officer and Company Secretary, Simone Thompson, sitting at the end over there on my right, and Joanne Rebelli from Grant Thornton, the company's auditors for the 2024 financial year. Joanne is available for questions in relation to the financial statements and conduct of the audit for the 2024 financial year. Now, I'd like to start with some highlights for the year. Financial year 2024 was a transformative and highly successful year for Tasmea, one that saw the group achieve significant milestones and financial growth. A defining moment for the company this year was our successful listing on the Australian Securities Exchange on the 29th of April 2024. This was a significant achievement, and so shareholders now have direct visibility of the market value of their investment in Tasmea. Pleasingly, the share price has risen from $1.56 per share to a high of $3.19 per share after 28 weeks on the market, as a consequence of both organic and programmatic acquisition growth and investors starting to better understand our structure, strong market fundamentals, and a capacity to deliver earnings through both organic and acquisitive growth strategies. Accompanying this milestone was our financial performance for the year ended 30th June 2024, where Tasmea outperformed prospectus net profit after tax guidance by 10.3%. Tasmea's pro forma revenue for the year was $407 million, a 10.8% increase compared to financial year 2023. This growth was primarily driven by continued expansion in the mining, resources and energy sectors, alongside the seamless integration of recent acquisitions. These acquisitions have enabled us to enhance our market presence and offer highly specialised services to an ever-expanding client base. Tasmea's pro forma earnings before interest and tax reached $54.8 million, a 27% increase, and net profit after tax was $36.9 million, a 30% increase. These figures underscore the strength of our business model, which remains focused on delivering critical services to our valued blue-chip clients, particularly in the fixed plant segment. A key highlight for the year was maintaining high operating cash flow conversion rate, which exceeded 100% of EBIT, further demonstrating the strong operational and financial discipline within the company. Based on this robust performance, the Tasmea board declared a fully franked dividend of 4 cents per share, which was paid on the 17th of October, bringing the total fully franked dividend for FY24 to 6.5 cents per share, a testament to our commitment to delivering value to shareholders. Of course, financial success means little without a strong safety record. Safety remains a core value at Tasmea, and I'm both pleased and proud to report that last year we extended our lost time injury-free record to over 4,200 days. That is truly amazing. This is a remarkable achievement that reflects the dedication and commitment of Tasmea's team to maintaining a safe and sustainable working environment. Tasmea has an unwavering commitment to ensuring the safety of our employees and preserving the strong relationships with our clients. I'd like to talk to you briefly about programmatic acquisition strategy. From an operational standpoint, FY24 was a year of execution and consolidation. Early in the financial year, we acquired groundbreaking mining solutions and Forefront Services, both of which performed well. In June 2024, we acquired Dingo Concrete Services. Tasmea's acquisition strategy has continued in Q1 of financial year 2025 with the acquisition of West Coast Lining Systems and Future Engineering Group. These additions have strengthened our capabilities, particularly in the electrification space, as well as in remote areas where demand for our services remains strong. As we move into FY25, our focus will be on the continued integration of these businesses to realise their full potential. As we look ahead to the financial year 2025 and beyond, we're confident that our dual strategic approach of organic growth and targeted acquisitions will continue to deliver long-term value for our shareholders. The board has been actively involved in overseeing the company's strategic direction and ensuring adherence to strong corporate governance principles. I want to extend my sincere gratitude to the executive team and my fellow board members for their unwavering dedication and leadership. In closing, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the Tasmea executive team led by Stephen, Mark and Jason, and all Tasmea employees for their efforts and contributions during FY24 and this current financial year to date. Finally, to our shareholders, we appreciate that you have a choice of how and where you invest your money, and we thank you for your continued support and investment in Tasmea. Please now welcome Tasmea's Managing Director, Stephen Young, for his address.
Thank you, Joe. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The 24 financial year has been exceptional for Tasmea Limited, with a number of key milestones being achieved, which have laid a strong foundation for our future. It is with pride that I reflect upon our achievements, including our listing on the Australian Securities Exchange, our financial performance, and recent strategic acquisitions. I'll also share with you later Tasmea's outlook for financial year 25. This is our first annual general meeting since Tasmea commenced trading on the Australian Securities Exchange on the 29th of April 24, a significant milestone for the group. The initial public offering raised $59 million at $1.56 per share, $26 million of which was paid to shareholders participating in the sell down of the shares, with the remaining $33 million of proceeds applied to Tasmea's programmatic acquisition strategy, working capital requirements, and debt reduction and IPO costs. Tasmea's indicative market capitalisation at the point of entering the ASX was $340 million. The share price has increased by more than 100% in the 6 months since trading commenced, and Tasmea's market capitalisation is currently more than $700 million. I'd like to single out and thank UCP, United Capital Partners, and Morgans for their support, both during the IPO process and importantly since then. Interesting to note that our turnover of shares has been more than the initial volume listed. So we listed about 38 million, and I think the turnover since then has been about 50 million. And that is our share price growth has been a direct result of the support we've received from our brokers, and we thank them. Shareholders are now able to see the direct link between our efforts in delivering on our financial projections and our programmatic acquisition strategy, and importantly, the value of their investment in Tasmea. A key reason for listing on the ASX was to provide our employees the opportunity to participate from an equity perspective in the value they contribute to Tasmea. Later in our meeting today, we'll be voting on a number of employee share schemes which facilitate this aspirational goal. Our financial year 24 results were released at the end of August and showed growth from both a pro forma and statutory perspective, demonstrating the strength of our underlying business. Statutory revenue was $400 million, a 25% increase compared to the prior year. Earnings before interest and tax, $46.4 million, a 53% increase compared to the prior year. And net profit after tax was $30.5 million, a 56% increase compared to the prior year. It's also useful to consider our pro forma results as they represent the statutory results adjusted to include pre-acquisition profits for Forefront, add back one-off costs such as IPO costs, and combination costs for groundbreaking mining solutions. Pro forma revenue, $407 million, an increase of 11%. Earnings before interest and tax, $54.8 million, 27% increase. And net profit after tax from a pro forma basis, $36.9 million, a 30% increase. This growth was driven by each of our core sectors: mining, resources, energy and infrastructure, alongside the integration of recent acquisitions. On the back of these outstanding results, the board declared a final fully franked dividend of 4 cents per share, bringing the total fully franked dividend to 6.5 cents per share. Mark, Jason and I have all reinvested a significant portion of the last two dividends, a commitment collectively of $8.2 million. We intend to declare and reinvest significant dividends in financial year FY25. Tasmea achieved a high operating cash flow before interest and tax conversion rate exceeding 100% of statutory EBIT. Our 4-year cash flow conversion rate is 104%. This performance is a testament to our disciplined business model, which focuses on scheduled work, particularly in maintenance, allowing us to generate consistent cash flows and strong financial results. As at the 30th of June 24, Tasmea reported a strong financial position with an efficient working capital profile. Working capital as a percentage of sales was 4.3%, driven by disciplined cash flow management. Return on capital employed, 28.2%, due to high recurring income and effective utilisation of capital to generate earnings. Tasmea's net debt position was $33.2 million, and their net leverage ratio represents 0.6 pro forma earnings before interest and tax. Tasmea has strong financial metrics as a result of our consistent growth, and we expect these to continue with the FY25 acquisitions. As at the 30th of June 24, return on capital was 30% after taking into account the pre-acquisition earnings of Dingo Concrete. Return on equity was 45% after taking into account the IPO capital, which was not deployed until after June 24. Earnings per share were 15.2 cents on a statutory basis, or 18 cents per share on a pro forma basis after adding back IPO costs, GMS acquisition costs, Groundbreaking Mining Solutions acquisition costs, including Forefront pre-acquisition earnings. Overall, a 45% compound annual growth rate of statutory earnings per share since financial year 21. Before I speak about the latest acquisitions, I wanted to share Tasmea's growth strategies with you. Tasmea is primarily focused on delivering specialist maintenance services to fixed plant in remote location. Tasmea expects our businesses to deliver exceptional service, keep their existing customers and master service agreements, and grow with their customers as they expand. Tasmea builds market share by outperforming our competitors on existing and new locations. Tasmea looks to introduce new services to existing customers by cross-selling and introducing other Tasmea specialist trade skill subsidiaries to them. Tasmea looks to provide existing services to new customers, including geographic expansion. We adopt our specialist trade skill businesses to emerging technologies, industries and commodities. And finally, from time to time, we look to acquire new businesses to meet unfilled demand to existing customers, and where the new business has a service, particularly where the new business has a service that meets our growth strategies. These are the areas we've focused on in the past 5 years, and delivering on this strategy is the primary reason that Tasmea's businesses have grown from an earnings and market capitalisation perspective. As part of our programmatic acquisition strategy, regular small acquisitions, we've acquired a number of specialist businesses to meet unfulfilled demand, diversify and access new markets. These acquisitions have significantly enhanced our service capability and market presence. Groundbreaking Mining Solutions was acquired on the 1st of July 23. GMS has strengthened our ability to offer engineering, maintenance and asset management services for platform rigs. Forefront Services was acquired in October 23. Forefront, which is based in Orange, working for Cadia Valley in the main, diversified our presence in the mining maintenance sector and specifically increased our exposure to gold, as Cadia Valley is the largest gold mine in the Southern Hemisphere, rather than iron ore, while still providing essential maintenance services remotely to fixed mining plant and equipment. Dingo Concrete Services was acquired in June 24. This business has strengthened our operations in the Pilbara region. For the first half of FY25, our focus is on integrating Dingo Concrete Services and setting the business on a growth trajectory. Subsequent to the 30th of June 24, we acquired West Coast Lining Systems in order to gain geomembrane lining market share in Western Australia. This acquisition enhances our capabilities in the water and fluid services sector and is expected to contribute significantly to our earnings in future years. Finally, the recent acquisition of the Future Engineering Group, our largest acquisition to date, positions Tasmea's subsidiaries to collectively capitalise on the growing demand for electrification infrastructure across Australia by offering an end-to-end electrical network service. Australian industry is committed to decarbonisation, and the growth opportunities for our subsidiaries are exceptional. Without considering the impact of revenue synergies, this acquisition alone is expected to deliver strong earnings per share accretion of 21.5%. Each of these acquisitions have been selected with our strategic objectives in mind, and we are confident they will deliver long-term growth and value. As we look ahead, Tasmea is well positioned for continued growth. Our strategy of combining organic growth with targeted programmatic acquisitions should ensure that we continue to deliver strong financial performance. We expect to see further growth in recurring revenue streams from our focus on fixed plant maintenance and remote area services, underpinned by our robust portfolio of master services agreements. On the acquisition front, we'll maintain a disciplined, programmatic approach, targeting businesses that complement our existing operations. During the first half of financial year 25, our primary focus will be on integrating our recent acquisitions, particularly Dingo Concrete Services, West Coast Lining Systems and Future Engineering Group, to unlock their full potential and enhance shareholder value. We're currently undertaking due diligence on a number of potential acquisitions, and we would anticipate completing an earnings accretive acquisition or two in the second half financial year 25. Trent Northover will join the Tasmea executive team and our board from January 25, providing additional support for Mark, Jason and myself to facilitate organic growth of our existing businesses and to identify future acquisitions to deliver our strategy. Tasmea is strategically diversified across Australia, providing a number of independent and interdependent specialist services to different industries operating from multiple locations. Our order books remain strong, and the majority of our businesses are enjoying increased demand for their services. Management, which is part of our normal process, have recently updated their forecasts, providing a 3 months actual plus 9 months forecast for the year ended financial year 25. And accordingly, the board is confident in achieving the broker consensus forecast and are forecasting a net profit after tax of 48 million, a 57% increase on our statutory net profit after tax from last year, noting that Tasmea will only receive 10 months of earnings from Future Engineering Group and 11 months of earnings from West Coast Lining Systems. This result is in the upper consensus range of 43 to 50 million. This net profit after tax forecast will be updated following the release of our half-year results. In concluding, Tasmea operates in segments that have strong market fundamentals in enabling organic growth. As Mark Vartuli shares with our institutional investors, we fish where the fish are. Tasmea operates across a diversified client and industry base, mitigating risk. Tasmea's organic growth is complemented by its successful programmatic acquisition strategy. We buy businesses to build them. We have a demonstrated track record of acquiring, integrating, and scaling up or growing those businesses. Tasmea partners with its customers, providing specialist services to a remotely geographically diverse blue chip owners of fixed plant. And these characteristics provide our subsidiaries with recurring income and consistent cash flows. Tasmea is structurally flat. It's organised to maintain the owner-operator structure and reputation for excellence created by the founders of the exceptional businesses acquired. Interesting, 12 of our 22 chief executives still manage the businesses they founded. This unique structure is supported by Mark, Jason and myself, who collectively hold more than 60% of Tasmea's equity. We have a shitload of skin in the game. For investors, Tasmea represents, at least in our view, attractive valuation metrics. Our earnings since IPO have grown by more than 50%. As I said earlier, our price is growing by more than 100%. I would like to thank my fellow board members who have collectively made an outstanding contribution to Tasmea's performance and achievements this year. It is an absolute pleasure to work with Mark and Jason closely, and I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our Company Secretary Simone and our Chief of Staff Sonia Rosella, who support us in such an excellent manner. I'd like to also extend the board's gratitude and appreciation to the remainder of our executive team, too many to mention, and to all of our employees for their continued support and tireless work. I think this is the end of the formal part or the media release of the AGM. To our shareholders, I'll say thank you. And prior to moving to consideration of the 9 formal resolutions, which I apologise, but I'm told that's good governance, I'd like to open up for any questions arising from my address. Ladies and gentlemen, any questions? Joe, let us go on straight away then, if we can, to the items of business. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Right. As Stephen says, we've got 9 formal resolutions to consider, quite a few. I'll try and get through them as efficiently as I possibly can. The notice of meeting dated 22nd of October 2024 has been made available to all shareholders and is also available on Tasmea's website. There being no objections to the notice of meeting, it will be taken as read. If you have any questions relating to today's formal resolutions, you will be given the opportunity to raise them prior to each resolution being put to shareholders. All resolutions will be voted on by poll rather than by a show of hands. As Chairman, I've called that poll, and I propose to put all resolutions to the meeting and then conduct the poll on all the resolutions together at the end of the meeting. All shareholders and proxy holders would have received on registration a yellow voting paper that provides the holders with the poll for today's resolutions. I'll provide more details shortly when the poll is to be conducted. All results will be determined by our share registry after the close of the meeting and then announced to the ASX. The company has received 163,421,843 proxy votes, representing 71.1% of valid securities. As we move through each resolution today, the proxies received will be displayed on the screen. Proxies have been reviewed by our share registry, Link Market Services. I plan to cast undirected proxies given to me as chairman in favour of all resolutions. Prior to addressing the resolutions, the first item of business is the receipt and consideration of the financial report, the director's report, and the auditor's report of the company and the group for the financial year ended 30 June 2024. There's no requirement to approve the financial statements, so I will not be putting a resolution to the meeting. We will now take some time to address any questions regarding the accounts or our operations generally, or if you have any questions for the company's auditor. Shareholders, this is your opportunity to ask any questions you may have regarding the company other than the subject of any resolutions that will be put to the meeting shortly. There will be time for shareholders to ask any further questions they may have about those matters when the resolutions are put to the meeting. Okay, so now let's move on to the resolutions. Resolution 1, adoption of the remuneration report. The first resolution to be put is a non-binding ordinary resolution in respect of the remuneration report for the financial year ended 30th of June 2024. The remuneration report is found in the 2024 annual report at pages 23 to 30 and contains information about the remuneration arrangements of the non-executive directors, executive directors and senior executives who are key management personnel. The proxy results for this resolution are shown on the screen. I note that there is a voting exclusion in respect of this resolution as set out in the notice of meeting. I now move Resolution 1 as set out in the notice of meeting and as seen on the screen in front of you. Are there any questions or comments in respect of this resolution? Okay, if there are no questions, I'll move on to the next resolution, Resolution 2, re-election of Jason Pride as a director. The second resolution is an ordinary resolution in respect of the re-election of Mr. Jason Pride as a director. In accordance with the Constitution, Mr. Pride retires as a director at this meeting and, being eligible, offers himself for re-election. Mr. Pride has been a director of Tasmea Limited since September 2021 and was elected by shareholders at the 2021 annual general meeting. Jason is the founder and current Chief Executive Officer of Tasman Power and Tasman Rope Access and has been directly involved in the organic growth of Tasmea's Western Australian-based businesses and successfully identified new acquisitions for the group. Further details of Mr. Pride's biography are set out in the notice of meeting. The board unanimously supports the re-election of Mr. Pride. The proxy results for this resolution are shown on the screen in front of you. Resounding. Mr. Pride has elected to abstain from voting on the resolution. I now put the resolution as set out in the notice of meeting and as seen in the screen in front of you. Are there any questions or comments in respect of this resolution? If there are no questions, I'll move on to the next resolution, Resolution 3, re-election of Mark Vartuli as a director. The third resolution is an ordinary resolution in respect of the re-election of Mr. Mark Vartuli as a director. In accordance with the Constitution, Mr. Vartuli retires as a director at this meeting and, being eligible, offers himself for re-election. Mr. Vartuli has been a director of Tasmea since July 2007 and was last elected by shareholders at the 2022 annual general meeting. Mr. Vartuli has over 25 years' experience in providing commercial advice in relation to mergers and acquisitions, divestments, corporate restructures and scaling up businesses. As a founding employee of Tasmea, Mr. Vartuli has been instrumental in driving Tasmea's strategy and growth both organically and by acquisition. Further details of Mark's biography are set out in the notice of meeting. The board unanimously supports the re-election of Mr. Vartuli. The proxy results for this resolution are shown on the screen in front of you. Mr. Vartuli has elected to abstain from voting on the resolution. I now put the resolution as set out in the notice of meeting and as seen in the screen in front of you. Are there any questions or comments in regard to this resolution? Thank you. I will move on to the next resolution, Resolution 4, ratification of prior issue of shares under ASX Listing Rule 7.4. The fourth resolution is an ordinary resolution connected with the recent acquisition of Future Engineering Group and requires shareholder ratification pursuant to ASX Listing Rule 7.4. Tasmea issued 7 million shares with a deemed issue price of $2.50 per share to raise $17.5 million as partial satisfaction of the purchase consideration for the Future Engineering Group acquisition. ASX Listing Rule 7.1 provides that a company must not, subject to specific exemptions, issue or agree to issue more equity securities during any 12-month period than that amount which represents 15% of the number of fully paid ordinary securities on issue at the commencement of the 12-month period. The issue of 7 million shares to the Future Engineering Group vendors represents 3.1% of the number of fully paid shares at the time of issue. By ratifying this issue, the company will retain flexibility to issue equity securities in the future of up to 15% annual placement capacity set out in Listing Rule 7.1 without the requirement to obtain prior shareholder approval. Further details of the shares issued, including the information required to be provided to shareholders under ASX Listing Rule 7.4, are set out in the notice of meeting. The directors recommend that shareholders vote in favour of this resolution. The proxy results for this resolution are shown on the screen in front of you. The recipients of the shares issued in this tranche are excluded from voting on this resolution. I put the resolution as set out in the notice of meeting as seen in the screen in front of you. Are there any questions or comments in respect of this resolution? Good. I'll move then on to the next resolution, Resolution 5, approval of employee share scheme, employee share ownership plan. The next four resolutions are all in relation to proposed employee share schemes. The overall objective of the employee share schemes is to assist with reward, retention and motivation of our employees and align the interests of participating employees with shareholders. Details of the employee share schemes, including the information required to be provided to shareholders under ASX Listing Rule 7.2, are set out in the notice of meeting and annexures to the notice of meeting. The directors recommend that shareholders vote in favour of the employee share schemes. I'll now take you through each resolution. Resolution 5 is an ordinary resolution in respect of the approval of the Employee Share Ownership Plan. The Employee Share Ownership Plan is available to employees who have been employed by a group member for a minimum of 3 years on either a permanent or casual basis, where they meet specific minimum hours. Further details of the Employee Share Ownership Plan are available in the explanatory notes to the notice of meeting, including a summary of the Share Ownership Plan in Annexure A to the notice of meeting. Directors eligible to participate in the Employee Share Ownership Plan are excluded from voting on Resolution 5, pursuant to the listing rules. The non-participating directors recommend that the shareholders vote in favour of this resolution. The proxy results for this resolution are shown in the screen in front of you. I now put the resolution as set out in the notice of meeting and as seen on the screen in front of you. Are there any questions or comments in relation to this resolution? If there are no questions, I'll move on to the next resolution. Resolution 6, approval of employee share scheme bonus share plan. Resolution 6 is an ordinary resolution in respect of the approval of the bonus share plan. The bonus share plan enables participating employees to elect to take their performance bonus in Tasmea shares instead of cash. Further details of the bonus share scheme are available in the explanatory notes to the notice of meeting, including a summary of the bonus share plan in Annexure B to the notice of meeting. Directors eligible to participate in the bonus share plan are excluded from voting on Resolution 6 pursuant to the listing rules. The non-participating directors recommend that shareholders vote in favour of this resolution. The proxy results for this resolution are shown on the screen in front of you. I now put the resolution as set out in the notice of meeting and as seen on the screen. Are there any questions or comments in respect of this resolution? As there are no questions, I'll move on to the next resolution, Resolution 7, for the approval of Employee Share Scheme Employee Incentive Plan. Resolution 7 is an ordinary resolution in respect of the approval of the Employee Incentive Plan. The Employee Incentive Plan enables participating employees to elect to take their long-term incentive bonus in Tasmea shares, subject to earnings growth measures being achieved. Further details of the Employee Incentive Plan are available in the explanatory notes in the notice of meeting, including a summary of the Employee Incentive Plan in Annexure C to the notice of meeting. Directors eligible to participate in the Employee Incentive Plan are excluded from voting on Resolution 7 pursuant to the listing rules. The non-participating directors recommend that shareholders vote in favour of this resolution. The proxy results for this resolution are shown on the screen in front of you. I now put the resolution as set out in the notice of meeting and as seen on the screen in front of you. Are there any questions or comments in respect of this resolution? I will now move on to Resolution 8, approval of Employee Share Scheme Option Incentive Plan. Resolution 8 is an ordinary resolution in respect of the approval of the Option Incentive Plan. The Option Incentive Plan enables participating employees to receive an option to purchase shares in Tasmea at a set price once certain earnings growth hurdles are met. Further details of the Option Incentive Plan are available in the explanatory notes in the notice of meeting, including a summary of the Option Incentive Plan in Annexure D to the notice of meeting. Directors eligible to participate in the Option Incentive Plan are excluded from voting on Resolution 8 pursuant to the listing rules. The non-participating directors recommend that shareholders vote in favour of the resolution. The proxy results for this resolution are shown in the screen in front of you. Okay. I now put the resolution as set out in the notice of meeting and as seen on the screen. Are there any questions or comments in respect of this resolution? Good. I'll move on now to the next resolution, Resolution 9, issue of options to Executive Director under the Option Incentive Plan. Resolution 9 is an ordinary resolution in respect to the approval to issue options to Executive Director Jason Pride under the Tasmea Option Incentive Plan. The Board views Tasmea's Option Incentive Plan and earnings growth conditions for vesting of the options issued under it as an appropriate link between a portion of the executive's remuneration and the generation of long-term growth in shareholder value. Further details in respect of the proposed issue of the options are available in the explanatory notes in the notice of meeting. Shareholder approval is now sought for Mr. Pride's participation in the 2024 Option Incentive Plan. Mr. Pride is excluded from voting on Resolution 9 pursuant to the listing rules. The non-participating directors recommend that shareholders vote in favour of this resolution as the grant of options aligns Mr. Pride's remuneration with the interests of all shareholders. The proxy results for this resolution are shown on the screen in front of you. I now put the resolution as set out in the notice of meeting and as seen on the screen. Are there any questions or comments in respect of this resolution? Thank you. I'll move now to Resolution 10 regarding the change of auditor. Resolution 10 is an ordinary resolution in respect of the appointment of Ernst & Young as auditor of Tasmea Limited, subject to ASIC consenting to the resignation of the current auditor. The Board unanimously supports the appointment of Ernst & Young. The proxy results for this resolution are shown on the screen in front of you. I now put the resolution as set out in the notice of meeting and as seen on the screen in front of you. Are there any questions or comments in respect of this resolution? Thank you. We've now dealt with all the resolutions, and just a few words about the finalisation of the polls. Ladies and gentlemen, we now conduct a poll on the resolutions numbered 1 to 10. Firstly, if there is any person present who believes they are entitled to vote but is not registered to vote and does not hold a yellow admission card, would you please raise your hand for assistance? Okay. You should have received material at the time you registered with the Link Market Services staff prior to the meeting. People entitled to vote on this poll are all shareholders, representatives and attorneys of shareholders and proxy holders who hold yellow admission cards. On the reverse of your yellow admission card is your voting paper. I will now go through the procedure for filling in the voting papers. Proxy holders have attached to their admission card a summary of proxy votes which details the voting instructions for each item of business. By completing the voting paper when instructed to vote in a particular manner, you are deemed to have voted in accordance with these instructions. In respect of any open votes a proxy holder may be entitled to cast, you need to mark a box beside the motion to indicate how you wish to cast your open votes. Proxy holders should refer to the summary of proxy votes form attached to your voting paper for further information. Shareholders also need to mark a box beside the motion to indicate how you wish to cast your vote. Please ensure you print your name where indicated and sign your voting paper. When you've finished filling in your voting paper, please leave the room and lodge your voting paper in a ballot box just outside, being held by our share registry representatives from Link Market Services to ensure that your votes are counted. If you require any assistance, please raise your hand. If attendees have completed their votes, I now formally close the poll. The final poll result will be collated and released to the ASX when they are available later today. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Board, thank you for participating in today's AGM. I now declare the meeting closed. Thank you.